The following program is underwritten in part by Schmidt's Naturals. Smell seriously amazing and support animal conservation with Schmidt's special edition Lily of the Valley natural deodorant. Created in collaboration with the Jane Goodall Institute, 5% of each purchase goes to animals in the wild. Learn more and pick up your stick now at schmitz.com.
The following program is also underwritten in part by...
My dog Annie recently broke her leg. Thankfully, she's protected by Embrace Pet Insurance. Embrace offers one simple plan for unexpected accidents and illnesses. To learn more, visit embracepetinsurance.com. Policies underwritten by a licensed insurer of American Modern Insurance Group. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
Judy has just run into the studio. She's informed me that Justin Beaver's mom will be on the show today.
Who?
Justin Beaver's mom.
Justin Beaver, yeah.
Bieber or Beaver?
Beaver.
Beaver. Sorry.
Justin Beaver.
Not that we didn't try for the beeve or the beeb.
Actually, I'd rather speak to Justin Beaver than the other one.
Than the other one, yeah, certainly.
Yes.
So what is this all about, Judy?
Can you imagine living with a beaver in your house?
No, that would be, I would imagine all the furniture would get chewed up.
Chewed up, yeah. You would think they would just chew up everything and dam up everything that they could find and just, yeah.
So you found...
And they like water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so what, do you put like a kiddie pool in your living room?
I guess so, or just keep your bathtub full of water for them.
So we're going to be talking to someone that actually has a beaver as a pet? Is it a pet?
Well, she's a wildlife rehabilitator.
Okay, so she's rehabbing a beaver.
It's not legal to have a beaver or maybe even a beaver as a pet.
Although.
Okay. I'm sure you have a question for me, Al. Can we move on?
So we're going to go to the phones for your calls in just a couple of minutes here, but I certainly want to know what's coming up in the news.
Well, luckily I have some information for you. Rover.com did a new survey, so it's all with, people who are dog-oriented. We'll tell you what they found about those of us who like to take pictures of our pets.
Let's talk to Dale. Hey, Dale, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you all doing today?
Very good. How can we help you? I have Dr. Debbie right over here.
Well, yes. Hi. Well, hi. I've got a boxer pup. It's about 15 months old, and some friends of ours was over, and they had an Akita puppy, and they were playing pretty rough. And the Akita puppy literally ran right into the boxer pup and pushed him into a cabinet. And they started favoring his front right leg for quite a while. And, I laid him down and I kind of felt his leg and checked to see if there was any fractures or anything that I could feel of. Couldn't feel anything, and there was normal movement in an up and down, in a normal position on the leg. So the next day we take him to the vet just to make sure there wasn't a simple fracture. They didn't show anything on the x-ray, but to this day, this was several months back, and to this day, he'll favor the leg on occasion, but then when it's almost like when he just has a moment where he'll run and play like there's nothing wrong with it. I can't figure out why he keeps favoring it, and my vet can't figure it out either.
Yeah, that is a bit of a strange presentation for a limping problem. And when you talk about a young dog, especially a young large breed dog, a couple things come to mind of types of growth problems that can occur and that can cause a limping problem, especially an on-again, off-again problem. They're not always typically preceded by an injury. So that kind of confuses the history here a little bit for your baby. But there are some weird conditions. There's one called OCD and another called panosteitis. And they're common in young, large breed dogs. And they're a little bit harder to find because they're not really as obvious as a fracture. So I might say that in your situation, I would encourage maybe a follow-up x-ray and see if there's any changes between those. See if there's some subtle change with the cartilage that maybe is sheared off, a defect, something that could explain that persistent pain. Because, if nothing's broken and he's a youngster, I can't make up any other real good reasons why he should be having a problem in that regard.
Right. I didn't know if it might be like a bone bruise or something. on a green bone that's still growing. I didn't know if there could be such a thing like a bone bruise.
Well, they can get bone cysts and kind of like inclusion cysts inside the parts of the long bones. And that might not be something that was readily apparent the first time, right after the injury, but that's where like shooting another x-ray at this point might be worthwhile to see. Because you can get changes like that in a bone after some kind of injury. So, yeah, I mean, I think that would probably be the best thing I'd encourage it is to just take another peek at it. And then has your puppy been on any kind of pain relief? Did they prescribe an anti-inflammatory of any sort?
Yeah, an anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and,
good.
So, and that's when, that's it's crazy because after we put him on the anti-inflammatory, he still kind of favored it for a little while. But then, he'd be laying down, and then the next thing we know, he'll see something, he'll jump up and run around like it's nothing, So I don't know if it's it's like I told my wife, I wonder if he's doing it for a sympathy trip.
Well, I always say never underestimate the power of adrenaline, especially in a young dog, because I have dogs come to my office and they may be limping, not walking at home, and they come in and their tail's wagging and they're dancing around. So that once that adrenaline kicks in, boy, yeah, that limp can kind of fade away, and they may be thinking about the rabbit they're chasing or the other fun on the other side of the door that they're going to have.
Can you actually train your dog to limp? I mean, give them seriously.
Oh, sure.
I would think that if they get the sympathy vote when they're limping, that they might actually do that. Even
maybe I could go to Hollywood and they might need a limping dog if we could get him a movie role.
There you go. He can earn his keep that way.
There you go. Well, I'll take him back in and have another X-ray run and see if anything else shows up. I appreciate it. Thanks for the good work.
Dale.
All right.
Thanks
Thank you
for
the
calling
call.
today. Yes,
I love your
1-866. Oh, so do we. For a lot more reasons than you do. Hey, Robert, welcome to the show.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. I understand you want to talk to Dr. Debbie.
Yes, I have a little problem child here.
All right. What's going on?
Now we've been working very diligently with our local vet. The number one thing going on is she's going either before we put her outside or after we bring her back in. And we've tried proing, and we've checked everything. We've had the ultrasound done, we've had blood work and urinalysis. Everything comes back normal, and we're thinking this might be a psychological thing. But
okay,
I was just wondering,
back up. Robert, what kind of dog you got here? I didn't catch that.
We took a terrier and probably a dachshund mix.
Okay. And she's how old?
I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 or 12 years old.
And so just so I'm clear, she's having urine accidents or poop accidents?
Urine accidents. And
it's
like
only
I say,
urine.
We've searched out the possibility of it being accidents, and I don't think it's an accident. I feel like it's being done on purpose, and we don't know why.
Okay. So where is she urinating, and is it always in the same place, or is she moving around?
It's pretty much always in the same place. What we do now, we have a tile kitchen floor. On rainy days, we lay down a blanket on the tile floor, so when they come back in, they can wipe their paws. She'll go, and like I say, sometimes she goes before we let them out if that blanket is laying down there. But what's really got me baffled is we started pulling the blanket up and only putting it down right when they come back in from outside, and all of that stopped. So she's not going on the tile floor. She's not going anywhere else, but she continues to, if we leave that blanket down there for more than 3 or 4 minutes and take our eyes off of her, she will go on that blanket before she climbs upstairs.
Okay, I got you now. All right, I see what's going on here. So I'm glad that you had a very good, thorough medical checkup because, in a 10-year-old dog, urine accidents can sometimes be a signal of a health problem. I think the reality of what it sounds like you got going on is you need to get rid of that blanket, man. You need to be drying these babies' feet off, taking that blanket and getting rid of it because it could very well be just something as simple as a marking behavior. The door is kind of a social area. It's an interactive zone. It's kind of a transition. So it could very well be that she's saying, hey, this is kind of the entry to my lair, and I'm going to say this is, our territory, my territory, and I'm going to urinate here. If that is not there and she doesn't have urine accidents elsewhere, I'm really led to believe that's the situation. And dogs they're not generally malicious creatures. They're very kind-hearted animals. They're not like people. We're mean. And they don't typically do these kind of things to get us mad or to piss us off. It's generally something either medical or something either social or psychological. So I might be led to believe that you just need to make a decision to get rid of that blanket and know that that's going to be her trigger. That may be her preference, that substrate that she really likes. And when it's in that right spot, she's going to urine mark on it. And if all you got to do is take that away, then I think it's an easy solution. And as long as she's not having accidents elsewhere, I'd say, that's a human behavior.
Now we change the blanket out all the time. If she goes on it, it immediately goes out and gets rewashed, and then of course,
I don't care. I don't want you to put it down in the first place. You putting it down there is allowing her that opportunity. It's setting that environment just right. It doesn't matter that you wash it. She's just thankful that you are. You're flushing the toilet for her every time you do that.
And but we've been doing this in that same routine forever, and it's just been going on 8 or 9 months. And so is it just? I just wonder if there was any other kind of a trigger. You think just?
Yeah, this is just, everything is just ringing. This is like I said, a social zone where, dogs can very typically mark. Now, another solution, ways to maybe work around this. Hey, what about the idea of putting an outdoor mat on the opposite side of that door, somewhere where the doggies can kind of maybe partially dry their feet. And then if she does urinate on that, it's outdoors. It's not such a big deal where you have to worry about that being inside. Just a solution. But for me, gosh, Robert, I just say get rid of that blanket and return your household to hopefully a toilet-free mess in that zone.
Robert, thanks for your call. 1-866-405-8405. This portion of Animal Radio was underwritten by the grain-free Red Barn Naturals, canned food for dogs and cats, always made in the USA with natural, functional ingredients to support your pet's optimal health. You can learn more at Red Barn Inc., and thanks, Red Barn, for underwriting Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
888-785-0618. 888-785-0618. 888-785-0618. That's 888-785-0618.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. The toll-free number is 1-866-405-8405. And you can ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry. And if you're listening to us on the radio, but you have an iPhone or an Android phone, there's a brand new device called the Sound Dot. These are headsets that you put into your smartphone, and they have a built-in FM receiver. So you can listen to radio without internet access, without using cellular data, which is good because let's say there's some kind of catastrophe and the internet is down and you have no connection to the radio. You have your phone, but there's no internet access. You can use one of these headsets, which, by the way,
What's it called again?
They're called Sound Dot. UNDOT, Sound Dot. It's a cool device that has great headphones, too. I mean, they're great little headsets. You can control the EQ on them. Check it out at blackloud.com, and that's spelled BLACKLOUD, blackloud.com. Sounds like Black
Loud.
Blackloud.com.
Wow,
And if you...
so many
yeah, I know.
spelling things and sound things today.
So we made it real easy for you. You head to our website at animalradio.pet, and we put a link right on the front page. Just hit the sound dot, and if you put in the code Animal Radio, you get 10% off those little puppies there. They're pretty cool. Trying them out this week. And that's just another way to connect with us and listen to Animal Radio whenever and wherever you are. In just a few minutes, we're going to find out what witch hazel is. And you ladies, you're looking at me like, yeah, I know what witch hazel is.
I know what that is. I knew what that was 40 years ago.
What's the big deal?
Well, because I've seen it on the shelf, but I've never once thought about buying it because I don't even know what it's for. I don't know what it does. The name freaks me out. It has witch in it. I'm going to find out. Joey's going to tell me. He's going to tell us all what witch hazel is and what it does in just a few minutes right here on Animal Radio. So very excited about that. I know that you're at the edge of your seat saying, I'm going to stay on this station listening to Animal Radio so I can find out all about it.
Hal, you're right. It's a good thing because witch hazel it comes in so handy for so many things with pets. So definitely.
I have no clue, I guess. What are you working on for this hour?
There's a lot of information coming about because of California's new law giving judges the power to decide custody in cases of pets. It got me to thinking, and I did some research on this, and I found out how many pets, or I guess I should say which kind of pets, are most frequently fought about in courts, but it's really oddly skewed.
Okay, that's on the way in just a couple of minutes right here. And let's go to the phones. Judy, which one's been ringing the longest?
Line 3.
Hi, Henry.
Hi. I have a kind of a geriatric old black cat. He's my favorite cat. He's getting kind of old there. And I noticed that he has a patch on his rear side that doesn't seem to ever heal. And it gets bigger, and he bites at it all the time. I noticed, though, that it kind of recovers, never fully, when I give him his flea drops for the month.
Okay, so it gets better when he is treated for his flea treatment.
Yeah, the family actually thinks that it might be dust mites, but, I wanted to get the official doctor. Yeah, it looks bad, but it gets better around the periphery.
Well, definitely, fleas actually are the number one allergenic material for cats. So when they have skin disease and they're chewing and scratching, approximately 80% of the time it's flea allergy disease. So that's the number one thing. So if the flea treatment seems to be helping, yeah, that could be part of the thing. Now, whether or not it's mites or something microscopic, possibly. Is this an indoor kitty or an outdoor kitty?
Well, it's an indoor and outdoor kitty. We're trying to get him to... We have a big house, you know what I mean? He likes to run, you know what I mean? He's supposed to be inside, but, he gets in and out,
Okay. Just because, for an older cat that's indoors, mites aren't terribly common unless there's something else going on. Okay. So when they're immunosuppressed or some other disease process is going on, and then maybe we can have a mite problem. But, actually, skin disease in older cats can even occur with health problems like diabetes and thyroid problems. So if this is a geriatric kitty, it might be well worth a trip to the vet to make sure we don't have something like that going on. And then really focus on some of the skin treatments that we might try beyond the flea treatment. And those might include certainly types of hypoallergenic diets that we can try using. And for some kitties, it's really a matter of making sure that all the ins and the outs are good, that we're on a good quality diet, we're doing regular grooming procedures, and then, checking out things like even arthritis in older kitties. It's a subtle, silent problem that they don't often complain about, but I do see cats groom themselves excessively in the hindquarters areas when they are having pain down there. So it can be one of those kind of things that you don't always know about. And cats aren't like dogs. They don't often show like that limp, that gimp with arthritis. And it really has to be detected by an x-ray to see if they've got spinal problems or hip problems.
Okay, thank you so much, because that excessive licking and that description, how he's moving, does sound kind of like, you get key points even without being here.
Well, good. Hey, reaching across those radio waves to help our listeners. Thank you so much, Henry, and give your kitty a good scratch on the head for us. Thank you for your call. This is Dr. Debbie with Animal Radio. We're waiting here at 1-866-405-8405.
God, you're good.
This portion of Animal Radio is underwritten by Something Worth Saving. Cozy up with your furry friend in a great read. Something Worth Saving by Sandy Ward is a wonderfully touching and surprisingly funny story of a fiercely loyal cat named Lily and the unbreakable bond she shares with her human. Clever and observant, Lily knows that you don't have to be the biggest and the strongest to fight for the ones you love. You can find Something Worth Saving everywhere books are sold and learn more at sandywardbooks.com. Thanks, guys, for underwriting Animal Radio.
Something Worth Saving by Sandy Ward is a touching and funny exploration of family life as told by a highly perceptive and outspoken narrator named Lily, who happens to be a cat. Lily is a fiercely loyal friend to her human. So when things start happening in her family, she's ready to step up and prove that she may be tiny, but she's also mighty. Something Worth Saving will make you a believer in the deep connection between humans and their furry friends. Pick up a copy of Something Worth Saving today everywhere books are sold, and visit sandywardbooks.com for more info.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Lori Brooks. Hey, if you have your cell phone close by, go ahead, pick it up and take a quick look at the pictures you've taken recently. Do you see more pet pictures on there than pictures of your significant other? I think most of us here have our pet pictures. Yep. The results of a new study from rover.com show that 65% of dog owners take more pictures of their dogs than of their husbands, wives, girlfriends, or boyfriends. The study also claims that nearly half of the people polled find it harder to leave their dog for a week than it is to leave their human counterpart. 94% of dog owners surveyed in this survey say that their dog is part of the family, of course. And here's another that you can probably relate to. 56% of dog moms and dads greet their dog at the door first when they get home before saying hello to any humans. But that might be, I know, in my house because certain dogs are harder to ignore than others.
Well, see, they're the first ones at the door. How can you ignore them? They greet you. If my husband would come and greet me at the door, I'd acknowledge him. But my dog's there. My husband's not when I come home.
That's true.
I think if Tater could do backflips, that he would do backflips. But he just jumps a lot, and he smiles. He curls his lip under and up. And, you know, anyone who doesn't know him would think it's frightening, but that's his happy look. Well, California has enacted a new law that gives judges the power to consider what's in the best interest of pets in divorce cases. And, you know, instead of treating them as physical property like you would a car or a sofa or a refrigerator, it allows judges to consider the care of the pet and then create shared custody agreements for the animal. The legislator who wrote this bill before it became law said he was inspired to write it because in the past there were actually judges who told couples, well, you can sell the dog and split the proceeds. I had to pick my jaw up off the floor when I read that.
Wow.
So that was his motivation. And this new law means that judges can take into consideration factors like who walks, feeds, and plays with the pet when deciding who the animal should live with permanently. But the law doesn't just apply to dogs. It defines pet as any animal that is community property and is kept as a household pet. And by the way, this was interesting. A national survey of divorce lawyers a few years ago, it found 88% of pet custody fights were about dogs, only 5% about cats. But that survey was done in 2014. So I think by now cats have maybe, gained some more popularity.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, in your house, Hal, I know that you would fight tooth and nail for the cats. It would be, it'd be like heck.
I worship them.
And I love that about you.
And they worship him.
Yeah. Well, losing weight is still one of the most popular changes that people hope to make in the new year. I remember walking into the office coffee room or kitchen one year, and there were no donuts or anything for about, probably a month or two. You looked in the refrigerator, and it was all healthy stuff. Well, now, because, this is how people think at the beginning of the year. In South Carolina, an animal shelter had a genius idea to help someone who wanted to lose weight and at the same time help an overweight cat that was in the shelter. So the shelter teamed up with the fitness center to offer free personal training sessions to the human who adopted Priscilla. Now that is Priscilla, as Purrsilla. And that deal with a personal trainer is worth about $400 and gets Priscilla, a health-minded human, to help her lose her extra pounds and gets her a new home. I thought that was pretty clever. I can tell you're all amused. Thank you.
I am so amused. You know what? I'm going through my photos now.
Really? I was wondering, where is everybody? I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
I don't think I have one of my spouse on here.
Ditto.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
This portion of Animal Radio is underwritten by Schmidt's Naturals. Smell seriously amazing and support animal conservation with Schmidt's special edition Lily of the Valley Natural Deodorant. It's created in collaboration with the Jane Goodall Institute, and 5% of each purchase supports animals in the wild. You could learn more at schmitz.com, and thanks Schmidt's for underwriting Animal Radio. Well, hello, Carol. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
How are you doing
Thank
today?
You very much. I'm doing well, thank you. I have a approximately 5, maybe 6-year-old mixed dog, about 40 pounds, who was abandoned on my farm, about 5 years ago, more or less. And she's been mutilating her foot, and she had an injury. And I can't get her to stop chewing on that foot. And I've tried the bitter apple and other types of things on top of the bandages. She had a pretty severe cut, which was, of course, taken to the vet, and she was stitched and had all the usual kinds of things. Having a difficult time getting it healed up because each time she's left alone, and this may be separation issues, each time she's left alone, she starts chewing on it. And I've tried some diversion things, and that's about where I am.
Okay, but this leg did sustain an injury at some point?
Yes, it did. Back in about September. And we've been working with it ever since with multiple vets and multiple suggestions and whatnot. And I'm kind of reaching my wit's end. She's pretty well amputated a couple of toes. But just down on it's fine once it's, of course, bandaged and padded. But, you know, I've got to get
So she's actually chewed her toes partially off?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is that this is moving out of a category of just, say, a behavioral problem to something truly medical. Because there are people who deal with dogs that lick their feet chronically, create wounds, what we call lick sores or lick granulomas. And those can be very frustrating in their own right because they're from a lot of causes, allergies, boredom, OCD conditions, you name it. If we're actually to that point where she's destroying her own flesh, I'm going to say we're dealing more with a potential neuropathic pain or some kind of what we'd call a paresthesia. Neuropathic pain is kind of like the nerve's been damaged and it causes not a ghost pain, but a pain from the nerves in that area. And paresthesia is kind of like that pins and needle feeling if you sit on your foot. So we know that if there's a chronic or if there's a trauma to a limb, that these can happen. And pets that kind of mutilate their lower limbs after an injury or, say, a fracture repair, they may be experiencing this. And it's hard to know, but if we're seeing that behavior, then it's certainly worthwhile to look down that road. Not that just knowing what it might be can correct it, because sometimes it is also very hard to stop this behavior. But if I could, suggest some directions, one would be, you also mentioned some, maybe some separation anxiety. So there could be some medication we'd use for for separation anxiety that we'd also use for some of these pain disorders. And one is a medicine called amitriptyline that sometimes I'll use. And that's kind of a long-term medication. And the next medicine that I might pull out of the bag of tricks would be something we use more for some of the nerve pain, and that would be gabapentin. It's often also used for seizures in patients, but those are two of the drugs that I might kind of pull out of my pharmacy first to try to get to the bottom core behavior of the pet, because nothing you're going to try to put on that is going to help if we're dealing with those situations, because it really is, an itching, a burning, it's a sensation, so you can't stop that with just the bitter apple. So that would be definitely my encouraging road to go there. And unfortunately, in some pets, if it's really bad and we lead to more mutilation, sometimes something like a limb amputation isn't crazy if it means that we remove that source of chronic pain. But that's the last resort. So, certainly I would look at some different medication options before we go there. And definitely, long-term antibiotics sometimes are very, very important for these wounds when they get them open and we get different layers of flesh that are exposed, that can be also very important to keep on, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks of antibiotics is not out of line for something like this. So I hope that's not too discouraging.
Well, I understand, and it's a difficult situation for her because of being abandoned, and then each time there's separation issues, and obviously she can't be in the hip pocket constantly. But she does very well on the with that when her foot's bandaged and padded, and she runs and jumps and chases the other dogs and plays and whatnot. But it could very well be a neuropathic situation because she did have an injury, and it took us a little bit to get that healed up, and there was a good possibility of some nerve damage.
Yeah. Well, bless your heart, Carol, for taking this baby in, because, certainly she's proven she found the right home, and, she's going to get the care she needs. So best wishes to you, and thank you for your call. This is Dr. Debbie with Animal Radio. We're waiting here for you at 1-866-405-8405.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Hi, this is Jamie Farr, and you're listening to the Animal Radio Network. And remember to spay and neuter your pets.
Here are today's automotive news headlines. I'm Nick Miles. The 2019 Honda Pilot gets a cool refresh for this year with a more aggressive, new remodeled front fascia, rear fascia, and some cool carbon fiber looking decals. This allows the big brother of the Honda family to fit in with the rest of the model line. A retuned 9-speed transmission, torque vectoring all-wheel drive, and improved ride and handling come along this year. Now the new tech features include 4G Wi-Fi and cabin talk, a microphone by the driver so the passengers can hear her telling them off. For more, go to ourautoexpert.com.
It's not that often that a vehicle can truly awaken your senses, but the 2018 Alfa Romeo Giulia does just that. Crafted to provide a truly unique driving experience. Desire knows no limits. Learn more by visiting alfaromeousa.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Here at Animal Radio, we all look good. Mostly because of Joey Villani. He dresses us, he grooms us, cuts our hair, cuts our nails. In fact, I think, Judy, you're getting a pedicure tomorw from him?
Later today.
Later
yes.
today. Okay, there you go. And we thank
Do you think you guys could tip a little bit better? No.
How much should you tip a groomer? Because I really don't know how much to tip you.
How much should you tip a groomer?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. As much as possible. How about that? What do you got in your pockets? Okay, when you're with an Italian groom, we'll pat you down. So,
shouldn't it be like 20%? Like you
is
do
it 20%?
I would think so.
What do you mean you would think so? You've been doing this all your life. You should know how much you get tipped.
Well, usually, Joey Villani gets tipped a little bit more sometimes. So, Joey Villani now, come on. Well, let's be for real.
I'll be real honest. I didn't know you were supposed to tip your groomer.
Did you really?
No. Do most people tip
listen,
you?
Most people do tip me.
Okay.
I don't think that you have to. I was raised that if you own the company that you really shouldn't even accept tips. I mean, that was just, I don't even know if that's just how I was brought up. So
good.
As the owner of the company, I don't accept them. But as far as my staff goes, no, it's great. I love for them to get tips.
I guess it's just
Makes
like a
them feel worth
hairstylist,
something.
like a
Exactly.
barber. Yeah. You would
Correct.
tip a barber. Yeah.
But you know, I got a really good tip because there was a study that was just recently done, and do you know that grooming your pet could add longevity to their life? Now, not just dogs; those are all pets, domesticated pets that get groomed. So studies were done, and it's not only because of the brushing and the combing and and keeping up hygiene, which that is definitely part of it. It's what you find when you're doing these things, the lumps, the bumps, the irritation in area, looking in your pet's ears just to wipe them out, finding ear infections. And a lot of people don't realize, how detrimental that can be. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had a friend call me up, and she was saying that dogs' ears didn't smell really all that good, and didn't see anything. And after we talked about it, I said, bring it to the vet. And she took it to the vet, and do you know that the pet almost died within 48 hours because the ear infection wasn't seen, but it was in so deep. But again, if she wasn't paying attention to it, and she wasn't wiping it, what she was doing, she was wiping out the ears routinely, and smelled this. So grooming your pet is important, and again, it's nothing as easy as just a brush and a comb and going over and paying attention and looking in areas that you don't normally look in. A lot of people don't pick up the tail of their dog's tail and look at their dog's behind. I mean, it's just something you don't do. It's something that I do every single day, probably 10, 15 times a day. But a lot of times you find things in areas that you normally wouldn't know. Check the pads, look in the ears, brush, comb, check under the armpits, check under the tail. If you feel something that's not right, have it checked out. But grooming could give your pet longevity. So if that's your best friend, why not? Give him the once over with a good grooming.
Well, of course, I have a question for Joey.
Sure.
And that is, besides the smell, which, gosh, I get so much of with bulldogs, that, Frito yeasty smell.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that tips you off, Joey, when you look in their ears that something might be going on that's not good?
Well, you know what, there's besides discharge. I mean, discharge is easy because you're going to see it. But even if the fleshy color of the ear canal itself doesn't look right, I would have it checked out. And in this day and age, it's pets are susceptible to so many different things. And when it comes to ears, I find that's one of the things that I think veterinarians have the hardest time curing the problem. And it's mainly because it's not kept up with at the home. There's only so much they could do, then it needs to be kept up with. But if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't smell right, and of course if there's discharge, have it taken care of, because ears are extremely, extremely important. And again, like I said, I've seen dogs die from bad ear conditions, and so it's something not to play with.
Okay, so this makes me ask, what should I be doing at home to care for their ears?
Well, just a normal routine wiping out of the ears cannot hurt. And what I would do is I would either use a cotton ball or a tissue, and I would dampen it with some witch hazel. Witch hazel you can buy in any drugstore, usually any supermarket has it, and basically it's an astringent, okay? And just go in as far as you could see. I don't want to dig in there. I don't want to go in deep. I just want to wipe out the ear canal. And if, just a little routine dirt comes out, usually you're pretty good. But if you got discharge coming out, then it's time to really see your veterinarian. And if it has an odor to it, like an odor that just doesn't seem normal, don't even clean them. Go right to your veterinarian. Sometimes you'll make it worse. So bring it to your veterinarian.
Wow, witch hazel. I never knew what that was for before. I really.
You want to know something? You're right. I never knew what it was used for before until I got into the pet industry. I thought, this is what it's used for, because we use it routinely for. You can use it on skin irritations, okay? Especially when you're clipping a dog and you go a little short and they get a little irritated. You put that on and it clears it up almost instantly. It's really good stuff.
I was taught as a teenager to use that on your zits and pimples.
Witch
and stuff
hazel?
Yeah. And I actually,
it's drying.
Yeah, I like the smell of it.
Do you?
I do.
I always thought it was like flavoring, like vanilla flavoring for witches to use in their brews, you know?
Oh, in their coffee, like
Yes.
a hazelnut, witch
Yes.
hazel. Okay.
Or their
Witch
potions,
hazel,
their,
okay.
their magic
potion with
yes.
frog
I'm glad you get
eyeballs
this.
and stuff. Yeah,
Some people would say I was way out there.
Yeah, no, I get
We
you.
use it in bulldog facial folds too.
Do you
so
really?
It works for yeah.
Oh,
lots of
absolutely.
things.
Yeah. And any areas that are going to hold moisture on your pet works great.
Okay, wise sage advice from the dog father, Joey Villani, here on Animal Radio. Do you want to talk to him? It is easy to do. Toll free at 1-866-405-8405.
Do you travel with your dog?
Of course. My pets are part of our family.
Me too. I take Daisy with me everywhere. Right, Daisy? So how do you find out what hotels welcome your dog?
I read Fido Friendly, the travel and lifestyle magazine for you and your dog.
Sounds perfect for planning our next vacation. Right, Daisy?
It is. Their motto is leave no dog behind, and they have great hotel and destination reviews.
Where can I find the magazine?
Go online to FidoFriendly.com.
I will for sure. Come on, Daisy. We're off to find our next adventure.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
If you're listening now, which you are, I can guarantee you're listening now, or you're not hearing me say you're listening now. You probably have a pet. You might have a dog. You might have a cat. You might have fish. You might have horses. But you probably don't have a beaver.
Probably not.
Yeah.
They're exotic. I don't think it's actually legal to own beavers.
No, I don't think so. It's a wild animal.
But there are wildlife rehabilitators.
Yes.
And in a few minutes, we're going to talk to the mother of Justin Beaver.
Who?
Justin Beaver. I'm going to make
Justin Beaver?
Apparently, she is rehabbing a beaver, among other things. I don't laugh. I mean, I don't know what this is all about. Certainly, I
The
won't.
name is adorable. I love it already.
I know.
Isn't that cute?
Uh-huh.
I'm not here to judge, but I am here to listen and find out what Justin Beaver is all about. And we'll have Justin Beaver's on mom in just a few minutes. I can't even imagine. What is a beaver run around free in the house? I think you go to the store, you come back, and your kitchen table would be
Nubs.
Gone.
The legs would be gone.
I'm going to stick to my cat. My cat is low maintenance.
You
and
are a
doesn't,
cat guy,
I am
Hal.
a cat
Yeah.
guy. And they don't really chew too much stuff up.
No, they're not big chewers usually.
So she's on the way in just a few minutes. And we're also going to do a check of the news with Lori Brooks. What are you working on for this hour?
I was admiring your empathy skills, Hal, when you were talking about you're just here to listen and stuff. And have you ever thought as an animal lover that you are different from other people? You know, like you feel so much because your heart just aches for these little creatures?
I know. Is that just me?
No, it's not just you.
No,
Okay.
there are others too, but the amazing thing is that scientists have now discovered what it is, this physiological thing in our human bodies that causes this animal craziness, animal love, animal empathy. What makes us animal lovers? So I'll share this with you because I think it's pretty amazing.
Okay, I cannot wait to find out why I love animals so much. Dr. Debbie is ready to take your calls. So is Joey Villani. If you have grooming questions for our dog father, call right now, toll free at 1-866-405-8405. The same number if you have questions about your beaver or if you have vet medical questions for Dr. Debbie. And don't forget, you can also ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry. They make me say that. Actually, I get 10 cents every time I say that. I have $1 now. We're going to line 2. Well, hi, May. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. What's going on in your world?
Oh, well, I've just got a big cat that seems to kind of have dandruff.
Oh.
Okay. Not all the time, but from time to time it seems to be collect a little bit by the top of her tail, where it comes out from her body in that area. Okay. She's a Siamese cat, and she weighs almost 18 pounds. I've only
Holy
had her
moly.
for a couple of years, but she's not fat. She's just a big cat. She's not a big eater. And she
Wow.
exercise and everything, but she's just a big cat. I took her in and when I first got her, and they said, well, she's not a fat cat. She's just a big cat. This is the way some of them are sometimes, you know.
Wow,
But
I'd have to
anyway,
kind of...
They put a little, when I first got her, they put something on her. I can't even remember what it was, but it didn't work. It was very greasy, and it just wore itself off, and it didn't really work. I was wondering if there's something I can use on her coat that might help it.
Okay. Perhaps. Now, there's a couple things I want to ask you. Does she seem itchy, scratchy? Does she have hair loss in any of the areas on her body?
No, she doesn't scratch, and she doesn't have any hair loss, and I kind of pulled up her fur and checked it. She doesn't have any dry spots that are dry under there. It's the weirdest thing. It's kind of like a flaky... when I brush her and I take the hair off the brush, you can see little spots of hair. She's an indoor cat, and I'm wondering if maybe it's just a dry skin that she's got.
Well, the first thing is when you tell me that you have a Siamese that's 18 pounds, my BS radar is going on that she's in good weight, because there are not many Siamese, which are fine-boned, lean cats, is generally what the breed type is.
She's
so
not
I
all
would.
Siamese. She's partial, I think, maybe half Siamese.
Yeah. Well, we do see, especially in the hindquarter area, right over the rump, we do see a problem where overweight cats will commonly get dry skin in that area, and they'll have a lot of flakiness. And part of it is because they're a little bit too round, kind of like a weeble. They can't turn around and groom that spot very well. So that can definitely play one factor in things. But when we look at, what are all the causes of what makes a cat have flaky skin, well, we look at things like parasites. So, perhaps your veterinarian did treat with like a topical parasite product, because that'd be one of the simplest things that I would always start with, is to make sure we're doing really good flea control. Because there's also other types of parasites you can't see, like mites, that can cause flakiness as well as itching and so forth. So making sure that you've had...
She's not an outdoor cat. She's an indoor cat all the time.
Understand, yeah, but there's still types of...
I still give her the flea thing. We do that. She's not an aggressive cat in any way, but she doesn't meow, which is really unusual.
Yeah,
and
no.
When I've taken her into a vet, she goes absolutely berserk.
Oh dear. Okay. So some of the things that I would tell you that we think about when we have a cat that has this dry skin, even though she doesn't go outside, as a veterinarian, it's very simple and easy to treat for things like mites, those parasites you can't see, and that is an important thing to make sure you get that kind of knocked off the list of concerns. So if that's what your vet did treat for, super. If not, then I would make sure you do that.
Okay.
And then as far as grooming is really a big thing. So we can't replace what a cat does to groom themselves, but if this is possible that she can't reach that area, then we want to do a good regular grooming on her. So getting down to the level of the skin, getting the undercoat out, and using a brush or comb to really stimulate the natural oils in those areas, because that's part of the benefit of grooming.
Yeah,
Not only does it get rid of the hair.
I do this all the time with her, and she tolerates whatever. In fact, I even cut her nails, believe it or not.
Great.
She will very calmly sit there while I do that. But when you take her into the vet, I mean, they just see her coming and they all hide because she's a miserable cat.
I know cats like
because
that.
She doesn't meow. She hisses at them and growls and the whole 9 yards, So I have a friend who's a veterinarian, but she's about 86 now and she's retired. But I did ask her, and she says, well, probably it's something that she's either eating, it could be, or it could be something like you're telling me. And I haven't done anything about the mites or anything. Would I be able to go into a vet and get something for that, or would I have to?
Well, really getting a veterinary opinion of this problem is really important to start things off on the right direction, because you could go in and pick up medications, but really, for myself, if I could see her, I would tell you, gosh, I think this is the best direction to go. One of the products that I commonly use if we're dealing just with seborrhea, which is basically a dryness and a problem with this flaking, is I'll use a type of a topical that's it's a proceramide. So it's part of the the lipids that we're restoring in the skin layer. So pets that have dry skin for various conditions, they are often deficient in these lipids in the skin. So we can use a type of a spot on that we put on regularly, usually about once a week, and it helps to restore the lipid in the skin barrier. And that helps, not just decrease the amount of sebum, the kind of the waxy stuff that they build up, but it also keeps inflammation down. It helps keep bacteria counts down and all of that. So it can help with a lot of conditions. So that's why I think it's important we have your veterinarian say, hey, this would be a good idea. I'd like to try that. It's pretty easy. It's things you can do at home. And then certainly I want to look at things like her size, her weight, and her diet.
Since I use a good brush to brush her every day, and I can take the hair off of that from after I brush her, and you can see the small pieces in it, would it be feasible to take that into the vet and say, look, I hate to bring the cat in because, and show them this? Would they be able to go any further with that?
It would be very limited because there are some types of parasites that live on the surface of the hair, and there's others that live inside the skin. And just like anything, if something's cut off and removed from an organism as a whole, it really doesn't give us the full picture. So, your vet may say, hey, sure, maybe I really don't want to see your cat. And bring in some hair and some scale, and I'll look at that.
The size of her, she's about 2 feet long, too. She's not a small cat. She's a big cat. And you take one look at her, and then, of course, they want to pet her, and she's not having any of that. She just lets them know, forget it. You're not going to get petting me. But she's come a long way with me. When I first got her, she was very, very strange to everyone. But now she likes my grandchildren. As long as they don't try to grab her, she doesn't like that. So they've learned the hard way, too, not to do that. Not that she scratch them, but she'll really growl at you and makes you kind of scared, So I've gotten through a lot of things with her, and I think that you're probably right. I would have to take her into the vet and just take my chances that they won't throw me out the door.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there's other ways to, get a cat safely into the veterinary office. So, probably a lengthy conversation, but there are some drugs that I'll often use for pets that are actually cats that are aggressive, but we can give them medication such as gabapentin, and that can actually help calm them, make them not sedated, but less aggressive and reactive in a veterinary setting. So you might even ask, if there's something like that they are familiar with or they're comfortable with, that they're okay prescribing in advance of the visit, because I'll tell you, I've used some different medications on cats before they come in the office, and it really can make a huge difference. It's all about how to do this with less stress for the animal, less risk for injury for both pet and veterinary professional as well. So so just talk to your veterinarian about that.
You were very helpful.
Of course,
that's wonderful. I listen to your show all the time, and it's amazing how many things you come up with. And I think, wow, I didn't know that.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
That's my dog, Annie. She's healthy now, but recently she broke her leg and I had to rush her to the vet. Thankfully, she's protected by Embrace Pet Insurance. They covered her surgery and reimbursed the claim quickly. Embrace offers one simple plan for unexpected accidents and illnesses that you can personalize to fit your budget. To learn more, visit EmbracePetInsurance.com to get a free quote. Policies underwritten by a licensed insurer of American Modern Insurance Group. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions. Visit EmbracePetInsurance.com for coverage details.
People say less is more. At Red Barn, we think less is better. It's what you won't find that sets our natural premium pet food apart. No byproducts, no corn or soy, no fillers. Just the natural ingredients your pets need to live the healthy life they deserve. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Try our chicken rolled food as a meal or shredded as a topper.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
Hi, this is Paul Reiser, and you're listening to Animal Radio. Every minute you're here, you're not harming someone else. I don't know what that means. If it's usable, use it. Otherwise, cut it and get out.
I'm on a roll today. Huh?
You are. It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. Maury was asking when the Animal Radio Olympics are going to continue. We're not sure yet. I think Judy's pretty much in control of that. What is the deal with that? Is it something we'll do again?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we will.
You had fun with it?
I did. I had
okay.
fun. Yeah, because I won.
But she was the winner.
Yeah, how could I
you
not?
knew everything. My intellect was bruised for like 3 days after that.
I know. Me too. And I didn't even participate.
Well, maybe next time you should.
I would have liked to have participated. Maybe next time, since you know all the answers, you ask the questions.
I ask the questions.
There you go.
Make
That's
it a little more fair for everybody else.
Or
yes,
we throw it out to the listeners and let the listeners answer the questions. I'm just saying that might, you know.
Oh, I'm glad you guys have an open mind about it. It's pretty cool.
Let's see. We're going to go to the phones in just a couple of seconds here. Also, a few minutes away from Justin Beaver's mother. And let's see. What are you working on for the news?
You said Justin Beaver, right?
I wanted to clarify. It is Justin Beaver. Yes.
Okay. Patricia might have been upset. I've got a bunch of stories for you, but one of them is so horrific, I'm not even going to tease it, okay? Because it's a short blurb, but man, this story just brings about so many thoughts and so many what-ifs and so many whys. It's... Really, can I just save the tease?
Yeah, you can say. Actually,
that was a tease.
The lack of a tease is a really good tease there.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Okay.
So that's on the way in just a few minutes. Something that we know nothing about, but it should be something you're interested in. Which phone?
Let's go to one.
Okay. Thank God we have you here.
Hey, John, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for taking the call.
What's going on?
Just a quick question. I have a 10-year-old dog. She's got a little growth a couple of weeks back that looks like a little sty or a wart or something on her left lower eyelid, but it doesn't interfere with her blinking or anything like that. I'm just wondering if that's something I need to check out.
Yeah. Now, what kind of doggy? I'm sorry?
She's a mutt from the pound in Flagstaff, Arizona. I got her off the res, and I'm told she's coyote mix.
Okay. And is the lump, is it on the inside of the eye, on the outside? What area coming in from the nose to the side? On the outside. Okay. Well,
lower eyelid.
The good majority of little masses along a dog's eyelid, they tend to be benign growths. And of those, they most commonly are a type called a meibomian gland tumor. So that's by far the biggest cause of these type of things. So those type of things, not to say they can't cause a problem, and sometimes they can actually get pretty big. They'll kind of even get a cauliflower-like growth off of them, and they can rub on the eye. So some of these really can cause ulcers in the eye or discomfort. So the treatment of those, first I'd say, get a look at it. If you'd hold up to the mic, I can, try to get a picture of things. But getting a vet's eye on it is a big thing, because sometimes there are types of lumps and bumps that get us a little bit more excited. If they're pigmented, kind of a black color, sometimes that gets us a little bit more concerned, because we can get melanoma, a more serious tumor that occurs on the eyelid. And then some types can be a little bit more destructive to the area, like squamous cell carcinoma. People are aware of that because of the sun-related issues. So that for dogs too can occur on the eyelids. So that's my argument.
Would they zap it off and test
Sometimes.
it, or what would they?
Yeah, so when we have an eyelid tumor, pretty much we have to remove those type of things with a pet under anesthesia. And I get that question all the time. Can you do it with my pet awake? No, not going to happen. Not many dogs will sit for that. So from there, but yes, we can do a couple of things. We can, if it's large and it goes into the lid, we might do kind of like a V-shaped wedge. So we take out a little wedge of the eyelid and sew things back up. If it's small and doesn't seem to go very deep, then yes, we can kind of cauterize that either with an electrocautery. At my office, we have a laser that we use, and that helps to kind of ablate the tissue or just kind of destroy it on the surface. So that technique can be used for some of the smaller or less serious ones. If we're worried that it's a more serious tumor, we're going to probably go for that V wedge, because we want to get nice, clean margins and solve that problem for the long haul. But
how much can you tell by looking at it? If I brought her into the office, could you look at it and say, it looks like this or it looks like that?
In some cases, yeah. Usually, but I would say just because the great majority of these type of tumors are meibomian gland tumors. And, the breed sometimes gives us some clues because we know that there are some dogs like poodles, Cocker Spaniels, collies that tend to get these benign eyelid tumors a little bit more frequently. So if we've got that, there's sometimes a little bit of the odds game we can play to help. And that may not help your situation since you have a mixed breed dog. But
well, it
potentially.
does. I was wondering whether or not to make an appointment, so it sounds like I should.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely encourage you. And, it could be something we can handle pretty simply. And just sometimes a little bit of, monitoring, watching, and waiting is acceptable for these type of things.
Beautiful. I will keep an eye on it, but I guess I'll make an appointment for next week as well. Thanks for the information. I sure appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, John. 1-866-405-8405. This portion of Animal Radio is brought to you by Embrace Pet Insurance, providing nose-to-tail accident and illness coverage for your dog or cat. It can be customized to fit your budget and needs. Simply take your dog or cat to any vet, submit a claim form, and get reimbursed quickly. You can learn more over at embracepetinsurance.com to get a quote. And thanks, Embrace, for underwriting Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Hello, this is Dr. Paul on Animal Radio. The pets are all part of your life. Make them welcome in your life.
Here is today's automotive news. I'm Nick Miles. I got to spend 3 days at the BMW Performance Center in South Carolina test driving the new 2019 BMW X4. It starts around $60,000 and the X4 handles surprisingly like a sports car. I may have gone through a set of tires in the morning, but it was all well worth the expense because the car handles like a dream. With sleek BMW classic looks, it has great cargo space and increased rear legroom space. For more, go to ourautoexpert.com.
It's not that often that a vehicle can truly awaken your senses, but the 2018 Alfa Romeo Giulia does just that. Crafted to provide a truly unique driving experience. Desire knows no limits. Learn more by visiting alfaromeousa.com.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
888-785-0618. 888-785-0618. 888-785-0618. That's 888-785-0618.
Hey, this is Nicole Sullivan on Animal Radio. Please spay and neuter your pets, please.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Lori Brooks. A new California law is changing the way that pet stores sell pets, making it the first state to ban retail sales of certain pets in an effort to crack down on puppy mills. That's what's behind it all. It says that pet stores can only sell cats, dogs, and rabbits. They come from local rescue groups or shelters or animal control agencies, and store operators will face a $500 fine if they violate that new law. Another California law, which we talked about last hour, that will further advance pet protections in the state by allowing judges in divorce proceedings to consider the best interests of pets and create custody arrangements for them. We also learned that 88% of those pets' custody fights are over dogs. And on the national stage, you guys, I had to bring this up. A new law that was overlooked by many is that cats and dogs were literally rescued by the Farm Bill that was signed last month by President Trump. Now, you may not have heard this part because it was a massive bill and covered many things. But it did include a provision officially banning the slaughter and trade of companion animals for human consumption. Now, that doesn't happen much that we know of or that we hear about, but before the bill, it was actually legal in 44 states in America to turn cats and dogs into food. Well, police in Hamden, Connecticut say a man actually had to shoot and kill his own dog in a park because he feared it might attack some children who were close by when things got out of hand. The man told police that his dog, a pit bull, who was not on a leash at the time, that's the very first thing you need to know. The dog was not on a leash. But because his dog was not leashed and attacked and seriously injured another dog that was on a leash, he felt that he had to take action. But right there, you see, with the owner of the injured dog were that man's 3 children. The owner of the dog who initiated the attack, the one who did the shooting, was licensed to carry a gun, according to police. But again, the entire situation could have been avoided if the man had his dog on a leash. But because the dog was loose in a park, that dog is dead, another dog was injured, and 3 kids had to watch the whole ugly scene that they will likely never, ever forget.
Can I just say this whole thing is just very, very bizarre, very weird, and I can't believe that there's no legal implications to this.
Yeah, something's missing.
It is under investigation by the police, but I think about this and I think it's so horrific because none of it had to happen, right?
Sure, and really, though, I mean, think about it. Put yourself in this guy's shoes. Could you ever shoot your animal with a gun? Or,
well,
could you?
I mean, if I was fearful it was going to harm somebody, I don't know.
You would shoot your dog if you were fearful.
I don't know when that's Nobody really knows what they do. They would like to think they would.
I do.
They would like to think they would know if it was going to harm somebody or kill somebody, but
right, you don't know what you do in that moment.
You don't know what you would actually do.
That is a good point, Hal, because now look, I would think there would be a big investigation if, say, that the man who did the shooting, that his wife was standing nearby and he accidentally shot the wife while he was shooting for the dog. I mean, then you would go, that's really off. But, like Judy said, I think this could have happened. But it is being investigated, so we'll keep you posted, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I love this story, guys. Scientists have discovered a genetic difference in animal lovers. So that's probably you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you always knew you were different, huh?
Yep.
This genetic difference lies in a gene that is responsible for producing a hormone called oxytocin. And you've probably heard of oxytocin before, but it's commonly called the love hormone. They use reference it a lot when talking about bonding between a mother and her child. But oxytocin boosts bonding between people. But this study is the first time that it has been linked to relationships between people and animals. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh's Roslin Institute and Scotland's Rural College found that those who showed the greatest compassion for animals actually had a different version of the oxytocin gene. They found also that women responded more positively towards animals than men, as did those who chose a profession in an animal-related field, maybe in a veterinarian's office. But of course, people's attitudes towards animals are influenced by a variety of social factors, considering early life experiences, personality traits, or religious beliefs. However, they say this is the very first time that scientists have shown that genetics may also play a big role in our human love of animals. So those of us who aren't married or whatever, if we married another animal lover, I wonder if they would get 3 times the animal empathy.
Ooh.
That would hurt. I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
Hi, this is Brandon McMillan on Animal Radio, and be sure to adopt and not shop.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. And Lori, I got to tell you, I really didn't think about this until I started looking, but you're right. You're absolutely right. I have photos of only my animals on my phone. In fact, the screensaver is animals. And I have no...
But that means you're pretty normal, right?
I guess it does mean I'm normal. But I probably should have a picture of my spouse, or friends at least, in there, right? But
yeah, I think I might have one picture of my spouse holding my animal.
There you go. And that's the only reason you have the picture.
That's right, because the animal's in it.
Let's go to James, who has a call for Joey. Hey, James, where are you calling from?
Well, right now I'm in Lake Park, Georgia.
Lake Park, Georgia.
Yes, sir. I'm a truck driver, and I'm calling for a little bit of Joey's advice here. And I have this little pug that loves to ride around with me, but sometimes we stay out on the road for very extended periods of time, and giving him a proper bath is not very feasible. So I'm wanting to know what I could do for him. What products or what procedures Joey might recommend to keep him clean and healthy while he's out on the road with me.
So let me ask you a couple of questions here. What's your main objective? Is just to clean the dog? Is the dog getting stinky? Is it shedding? Because that's going to determine really, what direction I go in.
Yeah, well, I brush him every day, but we're out sometimes for 2 months at a time, and it gets a bit oily and stuff, and
okay.
We're walking around in grass that, I don't know what's in there. I just want to keep. I mean, I got Frontline and all that for him as far as fixing fleas and all that. But, he just gets dirty.
There's a lot of products out there and wipes that you can go to the store and get a lot of spray dry shampoos and a lot of things out there on the shelves that you can go out and buy. But if you want a real quick fix, and this works unbelievable, and it's good that you're brushing and combing the dog now because you're removing the dead coat. So if you're used to doing that, you're going to go to the store and you're going to buy yourself a 69-cent box of baking soda. Now, baking soda, you're going to sprinkle that in the coat. Now, it's going to do two things. It's going to, number one, remove the oil because it's going to absorb. So you're going to sprinkle it on. You're going to let it sit, I don't know, just a couple of minutes, and then you're going to brush it through. Not only is it going to absorb the dirt and the oil, it's going to also neutralize any odors, any smells, or anything like that. And it's going to, when you brush it, it's going to fall off the dog after it absorbs everything and fall to the ground. So the best thing to do is I wouldn't do this while you're in your truck. I would actually do this outside of the truck when you stop. Sprinkle the dog with it, brush it through. It's going to be real safe. It's really good for the coat. The dog is going to smell good, and a really good thing, a trick with dogs that have folds in their face, and some pugs do, some pugs don't, depending on how flat the face is. If you use that and you put that in the folds, it'll dry out any type of moisture that's in there, and the baking soda portion of itself will actually remove any facial odor. It works really good. It's a good thing. It's nice and cheap, and you know what? I think that you'll be really satisfied until listen, nothing's ever going to replace a good old soap and water bath, but this is something that you can stretch out with a short-haired dog. You can stretch it out quite some time. I think be real happy with it, too.
Wow, that's fascinating because that's one thing I was really worried about was, like, the folds in his face. I mean, I get into acutes every now and again, and I've been using, like, wet ones and stuff, but that's a very good tip. I really thank you.
You know what? And you can continue to use the wet ones, but the baking soda, after you wipe it out with the wet ones, go in with the baking soda. And I'm telling you what, you're gonna notice that there's no odor from the face, and if there's any irritation, any redness, 9 times out of 10, that's gonna go away as well.
I use that on my mother-in-law. She has a real wrinkly face.
How?
She does kind of a stinky face, too. So, and I got that tip from you last week. I appreciate that. 1-866-405-8405 to connect with the Dream Team right now.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now at 1-866-405-8405.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Ross on Animal Radio. Please remember to spay and neuter your pets.
The Black Cloud Sound.dot AF1 headsets have a built-in FM receiver with dual dynamic drivers and customizable EQ and sound effects settings. They're capable of delivering beautiful sound. You can also tune directly to any FM radio station without internet access. Visit www.blackcloud.com. Create your account and order Sound.dot AF1 by inputting the radio station coupon code Animal Radio to get the special 10% off discount.
We are heading to, where are we? Is this going to be Kentucky we're heading to now?
I'm not sure.
With Brigette Brouillard. How are you doing, Brigette?
Yes, I am in Kentucky.
You are in Kentucky, and you do something kind of special there. You rescue what?
Native wildlife. So no dogs, no cats, no pets. It's all animals that would be naturally found in Kentucky.
Okay, so I got to think there's got to be possums, lots of possums.
Yep. Possums, bats, foxes, beavers, a lot of raccoons, a lot of squirrels.
Were you on the show Bandit Patrol?
I was, yes. Have you seen the show?
I knew it. I love that show. Yes.
Oh, yay. That's awesome.
I can't say that I've ever heard. What is that, Lori?
We're lost.
It was all women in Kentucky who rescued all different kinds of wildlife. You know, everything from skunks to raptors, eagles, and owls. And it was amazing. It was a great show. When's it coming back?
Oh, unfortunately, they did not renew us. You'll have to just try to catch a rerun. But they have so many animal shows, and they just kind of rotate them around. So
now, I understand. And Judy came in. She came in screaming to the studio about a week ago. She says, "I booked the Guardian of Justin Beaver," and I was like, "Justin Bieber?" No, this is apparently Justin Beaver that we're talking about.
Yes.
Who's a beaver that you rescued?
It is, yes. JB, as we call him, or Justin Beaver, came to me May of 2000. Let's see, we're just in 17. So he has been with me for quite some time. He came in just a couple months old, so very tiny, still being bottle fed. And he was supposed to make his way to our rehab center that houses just all of our animals. But we were a little slow on the draw. We had to raise quite a bit of money for his enclosure, get the pond built. So we're just finishing that.
Well, now, how did you say he came to you in 2017? What, did he knock on the door? Did someone bring him to you? What was wrong that he ended up at your doorstep?
Well, he was not quite old enough to have his driver's license, so somebody did drive him to me. He was found as just an orphan baby, one single beaver. And most likely, unfortunately, his parents were either shot or they were drowned. When people find beavers, they don't always love them around, and they're not very tolerant on trapping and relocating. So they are trapped underwater, unfortunately. So they do drown. Yeah.
How long do beavers live?
I hope that he lives almost 20 years in captivity. Wow. They don't live quite as long in the wild, of course, because they're exposed to potential risks that they don't in captivity.
Now, I would imagine he can't run around loose, otherwise your furniture would be chewed up.
Oh, well, it is. It's very chewed up. I've only been in this house just a couple months longer than JB has been with me. And it used to be very nice. And almost every doorway, door, baseboard has been chewed on. My antique furniture has been chewed. And this is with me closely supervising him.
Oh, no.
How often does he have to swim?
I put him in a bathtub about 5 times a day.
Wow.
Wow.
That's full time.
It is full time. It makes it difficult for me to go out in very long stenches, but he'll have his own pond that he can go to the bathroom and dam up over and over throughout the day.
So does he try to dam up the bathtub?
Oh, yes, he does. That's the first thing when he gets out of the bathtub. It's really kind of a funny routine that we have developed. So I know when he needs to go out, his regular times, and he does make some sounds that if he's asking me that he really does need to go to the bathroom. So I put him in a bathtub, and he hops on the ledge, but he won't get off the ledge. I have to lift him down. I towel dry him, and then he turns around and finds something to dam up the bathtub. It's really
like
great.
Shampoo bottles and that kind of stuff?
Shampoo bottles, if there's a towel on the floor, or the bathroom rug he uses, a stuffed animal, socks. Oh, yeah, if there's one thing laying out, he'll find it.
I want to set the scene because listeners can't see this. We do have a picture. We are Skyping with Brigette. And so we do have a picture of what she looks like and her surroundings. On the wall behind her, a couple of pictures of, looks like an opossum. Is that correct? An opossum family?
That was an opossum. Let's see, who do I have? Oh, that was an opossum that we had for a long time. His name's Big Boy. My volunteer team got together and had that painting done for me. And the other ones back there, there's 3 skunks. They are our permanent resident education skunks. I call that picture my 3 sons. You can't see, but believe it or not, I have my son and my daughter on the wall right next to them.
How do they feel about all of this? Are they gung-ho with Mom's animal rehab?
No, not at all. So they do not love the animals in the house, to say the least. JB is regularly damming up my daughter's door. So sometimes she tries to open it and has to move stuff out before she can fully open the door.
So who pays for all of this?
We run solely on donations.
Okay.
It's very difficult to continue to raise our funds to take care of all these animals.
And how can someone donate and help you out?
They can go directly to our website, and there's links on there. They can send us a check via the mail. Our address is on there, and we also have a PayPal account. And our website is secondchanceswildlife.org.
secondchanceswildlife.org, and we'll put links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.pet. Well, would you go give, I guess, the nearest wild exotic animal that you have there a big old hug from all of us at Animal Radio, okay?
I sure will. Thanks for having me.
We've just been informed that we've been kicked out of the studio. We got to vacate for the next show. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. I'd stick around, but apparently we're not allowed to do that. But if you need your fix during the week, head on over to animalradio.pet or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry. And then, of course, join us once again next week for more Animal Radio right here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Animal Radio Network.